All right, we're going to go back together with the valve body now. Again, '07 Hummer H3. This is going to be a largely factory rebuild. We're not installing a shift kit, doing anything else. It's basically a daily driver, and we're going to keep it pretty much stock. So if you're looking for a good representation of what a valve body looks like as it would come from the factory, or untouched, this is going to be a good reference, good reference video for you. So when you start with these, you want to begin on the forward accumulator side first. And the reason being is when we get to the actuator feed limit valve, we're going to have to stand the valve body up on its end with that side down so that we can, kind of get the retainer plug and clip in place for the AFL valve. And if you got the solenoids all already installed in the other side, then you have to take them out again. So basically, this valve body is straightforward. There's not a whole lot of complexity to it. So starting from right to left, on this side we have the forward accumulator, we have the low overrun valve, and then we have the separator plug, and then the valve on the other side is the forward abuse valve. And here we have solenoids A and B. This is your 1-2 shift valve, your 2-3 shift valve, 2-3 shuttle valve, your forward accumulator valve and sleeve, and then here you have your electronic pressure control solenoid and the aforementioned actuator feed limit valve spring, plug, and retainer. On this side you have the 3-2 downshift solenoid with 3-2 control valve, and then this here is going to be your 3-2 downshift valve and reverse abuse valve, and then you have your 3-4 upshift valve. This is your 3-4 relay valve and your 4-3 sequencing valve with spring. And then here you have your pulse width modulation valve train, and then your PWM solenoid. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Let me reposition the camera to get a little bit better view, and at the same time allow myself to work. All right, so first thing you want to do is just grab your forward accumulator and put the new O-ring on it. As you can see, I've already coated the valve body, the bores, and all the valves and everything with WD-40. So I like to use WD-40 to assemble valve bodies, pumps, anything that takes valve trains. You can use transmission fluid too, that's fine. I just prefer WD-40. It's, I guess, a little less messy. All right, so just drop in your abuse valve, and then your plug, and then just all you're going to do is line it up with the location for the roll pin, and then put it in place. Overrun valves next, and then you put the cap on. Eight millimeter bolts. These take like 75 inch-pounds of torque or so, but I don't actually torque them up until it's on the valve, or it's the valve body's bolted back to the case. 1-2 shift valve, your 2-3 shift valve, and 2-3 shuttle valve. So if I haven't mentioned this yet, I use all new solenoids. I don't reuse any solenoids. They all go in the trash. I know some folks like to reuse them, but My opinion on the matter is that, you're going back with it, do it completely. Who knows how much life any of those solenoids have left, especially the electronic pressure control solenoid. So I'd rather start out fresh with new, and this way you can kind of be rest assured that you won't have to at least drop the pan and swap a solenoid out if it fails on you. All right, here is your Ford accumulator. This side's gonna basically face downward on the bottom. So I just like to lift it up like this, get it in place, and then once it's in there, I seat the retainer or the roll pin. All right, next is your AFL valve and spring. You're gonna follow that up with the plug. And like I mentioned earlier, this is where you're gonna have to press down on this plug to get it to seat in the location. And then finish it off with the EPC. All right, your PWM valve, or excuse me, solenoid, not valve, solenoid. PWM valve is next. So the first thing you're going to do is drop in the valve, and then follow up with the spring, and then the other valve, and they go right in. Now on these, the retainers go in from the underside. So next is your 4-3 sequencing valve, your 3-4 relay. Whatever you do, do not install this backwards. It'll actually go in the bore backwards, but if you do that, you're not going to have fourth gear. 700R4 has a very similar valve, and the same thing applies. If you install it backwards, then you're not going to have fourth. Three, 4 shift valve. And when you take this one out, the spring sometimes likes to shoot the plug across the room if you're not careful. So when you're disassembling these, just be mindful. You want to keep a finger over the plug just so it doesn't fly out on you. All right, reverse abuse valve. And stick your plug in there. Then your 3-2 downshift valve follows. Same thing with this one. This spring will shoot the plug clear across the room on this assembly. So keep a finger here or thumb or whatever to make sure it doesn't do that. And lastly, your 3-2 control valve. And then the clip here goes right side up. Go ahead, put your manual valve in place, or you can leave it out until you're ready to put it on the transmission. It's up to you, but either way, the valve body's done. So here's a spacer plate. This is the downward facing side if the trans is in the car. And if you were gonna do a shift kit, you would drill out several holes on here. But if you're not, one hole I would recommend you drill out is the 2-3 shift feed port. And I typically will drill this to 93 thousandths on every rebuild, regardless if it's a performance or if it's a factory deal. Reason being is the 2-3 shift in this transmission is notoriously sloppy and slow. This crispens it up a little bit. And you can also drill this out too. This is the exhaust for the band on second gear. So that'll hasten exhaust fluid out of that circuit so that you can get a quicker overall 2-3 shift. Another thing to keep eyes for is this 1-2 check ball. This does like to wear. So this one's in pretty good shape, but some of them are so rounded out you got to drill this out with like a 1/4 inch bit, and then you put in a repair sleeve in here, and that would basically fix it. And then when you go back with it, install a Toralon check ball in the valve body dislocation, so you'll never have to worry about that again.